I have some very uninteresting notes.
Really?
Yeah.
Like what?
There's a point where you can see, while David Tennant is really going all out on his acting, you can see he has like a crown or a filling or whatever. I don't know what those things are on one of his teeth, and I have to wonder if that's canon.
If John Pertwee's tattoo is canon, then yes.
So yes, the Doctor's 10th incarnation had some dental problems.
Well, that's actually kind of interesting because
the new teeth.
Well, he says new teeth. That's weird. And then in Planet of the Dead, he mentions that he has old teeth.
That's right. Yeah, he says something like he's determined to keep those teeth. So,
yeah.
So this is part of his determination, is that he gets regular, dental checkups.
Well, I think that's part of his character arc. It's the slow deterioration of his teeth.
It's got to be, yeah. Yeah, I think that's really what David Tennant was so upset about in The End of Time Part 2.
Yes. Yeah, that toothache. I'm Tom Dickinson.
And I'm Louis Midas.
And this is The Cloister Room,
a podcast about Doctor Who and other things.
So, the Sontaran stratagem and the poison sky.
Yes.
What'd you think?
I liked him.
I liked him too.
Yeah, it's actually kind of funny because not terribly recently, I want to say probably about 6 or 7 months ago, I began rewatching Series 4 with my girlfriend, basically because we missed Donna, which I think is a valid reason to rewatch Series 4,
sure.
That is. And we didn't get all the way through, but we did get to this story. So I've actually seen this story kind of recently.
Oh, huh. I'm going to have to watch it again.
Oh, right, because okay, so you're not up to that yet.
No, I just started Series 3, so.
Okay. I feel like at one point I said you weren't going to have to rewatch episodes you'd already watched.
Well, I didn't believe you, so don't worry.
Oh, thank God. Because I feel like that's been a burden that I've felt was just, on me ever since I said that. Yeah, you do not
need to worry about that.
Okay, good. I'm really glad when people don't believe me, because then I don't have the burden of truth on me.
Certainly not. Certainly not.
I thought this was a neat episode. I liked seeing Donna, of course, and I liked seeing Martha again.
I did not like seeing Martha.
Oh, you didn't like seeing Martha?
No, that was one of the things about this episode that I do not like.
Okay.
Is Martha. I think that there's no appearance of Martha after Last of the Time Lords that makes me glad they decided to bring her back.
Okay. I could see that. I mean, they kind of... Because I've talked about this before, and I think I've probably talked about this specifically before, but Series 4 was the first series that I saw as it aired, and actually at the time that I saw this the first time around, I'm not sure how much of Martha I had actually seen. And so I feel like I knew who Martha was, and I kind of knew her arc, but I don't think I knew everything about her. And so for a while, I think this was my conception of her was, well, I mean, actually, I don't even really know. But, I mean, she's definitely different here than she is when it's just her with the Doctor.
Yeah, I think, I don't think they did anything interesting with her. I mean, they brought her back just to have her not do much and then be replaced with an evil clone for reasons that aren't entirely clear to me. Like, I don't really understand why they did that, what the point of that was.
I don't really understand how they did that. Because presumably they were, baking this clone or whatever long before this, and I don't know how they knew that Martha was going to be there. and that they were going to be able to, kidnap her and use her, unless that clone was like a sort of a blank slate, and then they just sort of applied Martha's external appearance to it.
That's how I understood it. I thought I understood it as it was just like sort of a blank slate human clone, like a generic human, and then they applied like a surface level Martha to it.
Okay, I guess that could make sense. Although, why pick Martha then?
I don't know. I mean, these are the things that don't make much sense.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true.
I just thought, why did they bother to bring back Martha for this?
I don't know.
What about this story needed Martha in it?
I don't know. Maybe it wasn't so much that this story needed Martha. Maybe they just thought it would be cool to show how Martha is coping without the Doctor. I mean, not that. I mean, there is no real reason to do that. Like, I don't think that they needed to do that. I don't think it made it a stronger story. But I guess they thought it would be cool. I don't know.
There's a line they use whenever they're asking like when I say they, I mean Russell T Davies and then Stephen Moffat after him, the showrunners, the people in charge. There's a line they use whenever they're asked whether they'd ever bring back any given character. Like, oh, is Captain Jack ever coming back? They always say, well, we wouldn't just have him back just to have him back. We'd have to have the right story for him, and that would really drive it. And that is never true. That is always a lie. And this episode this story is a really good counterexample to prove that is not how these decisions are made.
Right. I think, yeah, when they say there would have to be a really good reason, I think what they mean is the actor would have to express interest in coming back and call up some people, and that would happen. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, because this story,
I wonder if there might have been a draft of this story that this just isn't working. I don't understand this story, everything about it. I mean, we've got a good villain, we've got a decent plot, we've got some good dialogue and some good action pieces. There's just something missing. Wait a second, I know what it is. It needs Martha. And then all of a sudden they call up Freema Agyeman, and it turns out her schedule is clear.
Yeah, there you go. I do think that my favorite bits with Martha are the ones where she's interacting with Donna, which is a scene. But
even some of that, like the Doctor, he's like fire. You stand too close, people get burned. It's poetry, sheer poetry.
Yeah. I guess that was actually that was a pretty bad line. I also thought, at the very beginning, when the Doctor asks her what they're looking for, she says they're looking for illegal aliens, implying that there are legal aliens. Like, is that a thing?
There might be.
Yeah, I thought maybe a little bit of the dialogue was kind of clunky there.
A lot of the other dialogue in the episode is pretty good.
Oh yeah. I would agree with that.
The Doctor had a lot of good lines. He
did. He brought up the 70s versus 80s for unit.
Yeah, he brought up all kinds of things.
Yes.
He's just bringing things up. Yeah. I don't know. I liked some of the dialogue. I just thought that was a particularly egregious example of awful dialogue.
Yeah. But that is, to be fair, that is the proper way to make an analogy with fire. Because people do get burned when they get too close to fire. So we can definitely say that was used correctly.
I mean, I'm not saying that it's a badly formed analogy. I'm just saying it's a really dumb cliche line.
Right, and
fire,
I would not.
You mess with fire, you get burned.
I'm not going to disagree with you on that, though. I think you're right.
Okay. Well, as long as you're not disagreeing with me, that's fine.
That's really the most important thing.
Yeah. I did like Donna though, and I liked Wilf. I liked all of that interaction. I liked her mother. I liked all that good stuff. It was all very good. It all worked really well.
Yeah, it really did. I think it was a good, solid episode, and it kind of felt. I mean, maybe it's just because we've been watching classic series episodes, but it kind of felt like it was from the classic series almost.
Yeah, it does. I mean, it kind of harkens back to Unit because it has Unit in it. So it harkens
Go
back
figure.
to like the Pertwee era.
Mm-hmm.
It's got the Sontarans, which are kind of like a classic Doctor Who villain, and I don't know. There's something about it that just does feel very classic. Like Radigan is, in some ways, he's like a very contemporary figure.
Mm-hmm.
I guess he's supposed to be like kind of a Mark Zuckerberg kind of thing.
Right.
But he's also kind of a very classic series figure in that sense as well. Like you will often get these, people who are working with the bad guys or like don't understand what they're getting into, that sort of represent the concerns of the day almost. Like, for instance, there's Inferno, where there's this guy who's like obsessed with, at all costs, we must keep drilling for some reason.
Right.
You've always got these figures that sort of represent society in some way, and I feel like he kind of represents a certain thing in our current society. You know what I'm saying? Am I talking nonsense?
No, if you are talking nonsense, it is nonsense that I can understand.
Oh, well, that's good.
So I can make sense of your nonsense. That might be what that's saying. But no, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, I think that's cool. And I mean, it might actually just be unit. That might be why that I think it's so classic-y, because I feel like I certainly didn't have a very good sense when I first watched this episode, because I think this would have been my first exposure to unit, because I don't think I'd watched World War III and the other episode yet, and I think this was probably the first time I'd seen unit when I was watching this for the first time, and now I feel like I have a much better sense of unit.
Yeah, and this is the first in the new series. This is the real introduction of unit. I mean, they appear in other episodes, but they're not.
That's true.
They're not treated as like characters. There are unit characters,
right,
in this story, and one of the. Back when the story first aired, I didn't have that much of a favorable opinion of it, to be honest.
Oh, yeah?
And I think my difference of opinion was, like, back then it was like, I was seeing it as, this is the reintroduction of the Sontarans. This is establishing what Sontarans are in the modern show. This is establishing what Unit is in the modern show. This is establishing what Martha is after her season away. But, like, when I'm watching it now, it has all that weight lifted from it. It doesn't have to establish things for me.
Right,
because I'm just watching it as it is,
right?
And so I'm not kind of thinking, is this the new Unit family? Are these the characters we're going to be seeing in every Unit story from now on?
Right.
Because it's become kind of clear that no, these aren't characters we're ever going to see again.
Right.
So I kind of was looking at it more for what it was without it having to carry that weight. Am I talking nonsense again?
No.
Okay.
Well, once again, I am understanding it, and I think that that's what matters.
All right. Yeah, that should be fine.
But yeah, so this was the return of the Sontarans then.
Yeah. They had not appeared in series 1, 2, or 3.
That's right. Yeah, it's funny because we've seen them. Primarily, we've seen Strax so often since then.
Yeah, and in this episode we see a couple Sontarans, one of whom, actually two of whom I think are played by Dan Starkey, who plays Strax. Did you notice that?
I noticed that one of them was. I think it was Score.
Yeah, I think there are two.
Okay, well, that could very well be. But yes, I did notice that, and that makes sense because they're clowns, so you can do that.
Yeah, but they don't all look exactly the same.
Right.
Or sound exactly the same, but
yeah. But yeah, I made the connection at one point when Commander Score turns to Radigan and he says "boy."
Yes.
And he delivered that exactly
boy.
As yes. And that was the point where I made the connection that this was the actor who played Strax. But yeah. So that was funny.
He's also done some Sontarans for Big Finish as well. So
so he
gets a lot of work.
I guess he does. Yeah. So he's like Nicholas Briggs as the voice of both the Cybermen and the Daleks.
Yeah. Yep.
Right. That's the guy who does that, right?
Yeah, he does several other voices as well too.
Yeah. So he gets all those, and then I already forget his name.
Dan Starkey.
What is it?
Dan Starkey.
Dan Starkey.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Dan Starkey gets the Sontarans. That's a fair way to divvy it up, I think.
Only I don't know if they could really do it again because he's now so strongly associated with that one character.
That's true.
At least for me, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe other people would see it differently, but I feel like having him play another Sontaran would not be wrong, but I'd almost rather they went with someone else if they're going to do another Sontaran.
Yeah. I feel like I would just be very confused and I would remain confused probably thereafter. Yeah, so I would say, yeah, he pretty much is stuck as Strax now, at least within the context of the show.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's also kind of interesting because since this story, Doctor Who has primarily done Sontarans strictly for comedy.
Yeah, that's true. Well, that might be kind of reasonable because they don't. I mean, as much of a threat as they are in this episode, I don't know how I'd feel about them keeping coming back as like a credible threat. I feel like after a while they would just stop seeming like a threat altogether. And I mean, I
think that's true of any villain that they reuse enough times because, you know, the Doctor keeps defeating them.
Right. Yeah. I think that's fair.
But I do think, I think they are and kind of always were meant to be at least a little bit silly. Even in the classic series where it's sort of played straighter, but it's also kind of humorous in its own way. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I kind of wonder what the future of Sontarans on the show is, whether it's just going to be, you know, Strax the Sontaran, and then that's the only one that we ever see again.
Yeah, because I feel like Strax is good as comic relief, but I don't think that they could make the Sontaran race as a whole into comic relief. I think that would get pretty old pretty fast if they went that route. Because I feel like if the Sontarans were to come back, they should be the villain. They should be a threat. But I don't know. Although it didn't really seem like they were that big of a threat in this episode. I mean, like they were a threat.
Sure they were. I mean,
no,
they almost destroyed everyone and stuff.
Okay, yes, but it seemed like once they were on equal footing with the unit soldiers, like when the unit soldiers had working weapons, it seems like they pretty much slaughtered all the Sontarans pretty easily. Like there's that one scene where it pretty much all turns around, and it doesn't seem like it pretty much seems like unit almost takes no losses whatsoever after they get their guns working. And I mean,
yeah, because you know you'd think that after they get their guns working, it would be it would be at least like a battle on equal terms,
right?
Where you know casualties on both sides, horror of war, blah 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 blah,
right?
All that stuff, as opposed to just all right. Well, now we're equal, so that means we're better because we have character shields or something.
Right. Yeah, because it kind of seems like. I don't know. That like final battle scene doesn't really make me believe that these are clones who are trained from birth or spawn, whatever, to be like super soldiers. I don't know. I have trouble believing that they're taken over so handily by unit soldiers. Maybe it's the height difference. I don't know.
Could be. Could be.
I mean, yeah, they definitely were a threat up until that point, but then after that, they just seemed like not that big of a threat. I don't know. But yeah, no, I liked this episode overall. I thought the sort of reveal that the Earth was being used as sort of a cloning base for the Sontarans was kind of a cool thing, or they were planning on turning it into one.
Yeah.
I thought that was a cool thing.
I did like that. Probably my favorite moment in the episode is the moment where Donna says she's going home.
Oh, yeah.
And the Doctor completely misinterprets what it is she's saying.
Yeah, I did like that. I do like seeing the 10th Doctor and Donna dynamic. That's like my favorite.
Yeah, and there were also some really good, I don't know, just cool stuff in the episode. Like I liked the Doctor hitting the back of the Sontaran's neck with a tennis ball.
Yeah.
I liked the the scene where the car's about to go in the river and he's like, you're supposed to obey everything I say, so go into the river. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they get down preparing for a big explosion and it just sparks.
Exactly.
That's cute. I also think that was kind of poor planning on the Sontarans' part for the Atmos programming. Like I feel like they could have just had the Atmos, ignore all of his orders as opposed to contradicting them.
Yep. Probably. That'll probably be safer.
But why not? We can have computers work that way. I don't know. Seems like I feel like that was also how the angels in not the alien species angels, but the robotic angels from Voyage of the Damned. I feel like that's how they worked too, like where they would contradict orders. I don't know. I guess it's a staple of evil computers.
Yeah, it might just be like a common They might all come from the same manufacturer or something.
Yes. They should really look into correcting that, though.
Probably, yeah. I think it gets kind of a bad rap.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think people think of this one as just sort of dull and boring and kind of like just a standard Doctor Who that doesn't have anything all that interesting about it. But when I was watching it, I was constantly interested, and I very much enjoyed it. There were very few slow moments, and despite my kind of dislike of Martha's role in the episode, I think it holds up very well.
Yeah, I would agree with that, and I would say that it could be, and it could be that I am willing to rate it highly just because this was one of the first episodes I watched, as it was airing, and that holds a special place for me, maybe. But I don't know. I like to think that it's not that, and that I actually do like this episode on its own merits. But yeah, no, I thought it was good. I really did enjoy it.
Yeah, it was written by Helen Rayner, who also wrote Daleks in Manhattan and Evolution of the Daleks.
Huh.
And I think it's a lot better than that.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with that. Yeah.
She's the only female writer for the new series.
Wow, really?
Yep.
Wow. Has she written anything more recent than that?
No.
Than this?
She just wrote those 4 episodes, and she's the only female writer.
Wow. Yeah, it seems like there's got to be some female writers who want to write for Doctor Who, right? I mean...
Oh, yeah, sure. I mean...
Yeah, we should... They should get on that. I mean, come on.
Yeah, they probably should. This was a big topic. I want to say like 6 months ago or something. Someone wrote a news article or like an editorial about it. The lack of women writers in Doctor Who, or maybe it was just a blog post, but it sort of became a hot topic of discussion and then sort of settled down again. But yeah, there aren't a lot of female writers. There are a few female directors, but not that many more. And the novels have always fared better in that regard. There have been a few female writers in the novels, but still very not like an even balance or anything. And Big Finish isn't that great either.
Oh, really?
Yeah, still mostly dudes.
Yeah. So that's
There are female television writers.
Yeah. And I'm sure some of those female television writers would really like to write for Doctor Who.
And I'm sure some of them would be good at it.
Yeah. I'd be interested to see more female writers in Doctor Who. I'd like to see if that changes anything or doesn't change anything or what. I don't know. I'd like to see it though.
Yeah, and I think Helen Rayner, the ones she got were kind of I just got done saying like, oh no, this is not just a standard boring one, but it is in a sense. It's just like a standard monster invasion story. I think it's done particularly well.
Yeah,
I think Evolution of the Daleks is not done all that well, but.
Right,
but she sort of got given the standard stuff. It'd be interesting to just kind of do something different.
Yeah,
have by which I'm kind of saying is that it's the only female writer, and she didn't have much of a chance to stand out because this wasn't even though I liked it, it's not like a standout story.
Right.
It's there are several stories in this season that sort of I remember more fondly than this one.
Right. Yeah.
And the same is true in series 3. So yeah, that's a thing that Stephen Moffat should probably get on for series 8. I'm sure that by now he is getting those scripts in order.
Right. Yeah. Well, and it seems like it's kind of been much of the same writers since series 5. I mean, maybe that's not necessarily true. But it seems like we've gotten... I mean, Mark Gatiss has always done an episode. Chris Chibnall has been writing episodes. Well, and he wrote some even further back than Series 5. Well, and I mean, I guess that's true of most writers. But I mean, I feel like... I don't know. I just feel like they can probably afford to switch it up and have different writers,
Yeah, I mean, they had Neil Cross.
Right.
So that was something.
Yeah, that was something. And I did like one of his episodes.
I liked one of his episodes too.
So So yeah, some new blood, so to speak, would be good, and has proven to be good.
Not only new blood, but also knew the rest of them.
Right. I'm not saying that Stephen Moffat needs to get transfusions. That's not what I'm saying.
Although he can if he wants to.
Right. Free country and all. I'm assuming.
I don't know if that's covered by the NHS.
Right. Yeah, I'm not so sure. Vanity transfusions.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, assuming it's covered, Stephen Moffat can get as many blood transfusions as he likes.
Yeah. But anyhow, in terms of writers, he's probably got a pretty good idea by now of who's writing for Series 8.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I know today they announced a director. For 2 episodes.
But I guess it'll be exciting when they release like the titles of Series 8 because I want to see, like, I don't know. I mean, they probably won't mean anything, but it's exciting, the prospect of it nonetheless.
Oh yes. I always like to hear about the writers, the directors, and then the titles as they come out. And which title belongs to which episode? Which title is which writer? Oh, it's very exciting.
Yeah. It's
very, very exciting.
But yeah, I don't know. Series 8 seems so far away.
That's probably because it is.
I guess that is how time works.
Yeah.
Things seem far away that are far away.
Probably about 10 months away.
Yeah. At least we've got the 50th and the Christmas special to tide us over, but still, it's gonna be tough.
Mm-hmm. Hey, what did you think about Rose in this episode?
I thought it was kind of silly.
I thought so too.
And it kind of really ruins the standaloneness of this episode. I mean, like not ruins it, but I mean, it was definitely distracting because at least on on a conscious level, I was forced to remember the overall story arc of season 4 and for no good reason. And, that detracted from my enjoyment of this episode.
Yeah. We've probably gone over all this before, back when we did Midnight a very long time ago.
Right, probably.
But yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that whole Rose thing. I don't think it means anything. Doesn't make sense. It's not like we finally learn in the end, like, oh, this is exactly why Rose had to interrupt this transmission during the Sontaran incident.
Right, yeah.
This is why she appeared on the midnight bus.
Right, are we assuming that... Yeah, because these were absolutely meaningless. The fact that she appeared on these screens did not change anything or reveal anything about the finale. And are we to assume that like the first attempt at their sort of dimension canon or whatever was actually like a dimension broadcast station where Rose was just gonna broadcast some TV to the Doctor, and so she sat in front of a camera?
I suppose we have to presume that.
Right, I think we do. And so that failed, and then she just had to catapult herself into the dimension.
Yeah, I mean, if broadcasting signals doesn't work, why not just broadcast your entire self?
That's the natural progression, I think.
Yeah. I don't know. I like the thing in Partners in Crime where she just shows up at random. That was interesting and surprising and fun. But this just doesn't really add anything. It's just like serves to remind you,
right?
In case you forgot.
Right. Yeah. And what's the point of that? What's the point of reminding? Because, I mean, especially because, in retrospect, none of this gets resolved. Like, none of the hints that Rose is coming back get resolved until the very last episode. Well, the very last two-parter. So, planting these things this early on in the story is just kind of silly. Or, sorry, this early on in the season is just kind of silly. I don't know.
Yeah, especially when they don't amount to anything.
Right. Yeah. They don't amount to anything, and they don't amount to anything soon. Even if they did amount to something, they wouldn't amount to something soon. Yeah, so I think they're dumb. I'm going to say that's my final answer. They are dumb.
Okay, well. Another thing on which we can agree.
And I am glad of it.
What do you think of the cliffhanger?
I thought it was funny, completely for my own personal reasons, just because we had just gotten done watching in the last story we talked about, it ending also on a cliffhanger where the Doctor kind of disappears strangely, and so I thought it was kind of weird that this one also ended on a cliffhanger. But in terms of like merit in the story itself, I don't know. I can definitely say at the time I found it exciting. Like when I was watching it for the first time, I found it exciting because I thought it was something I don't know. I thought that was kind of cool.
It's just kind of meaningless though.
It is meaningless.
By meaningless coincidence, the TARDIS just dematerializes for some reason.
Right. It's sort of certainly, as someone who hadn't seen all that much Doctor Who at the time, and I should probably give up on talking about every Series 4 episode about how it was when I first watched it, because I was a new fan at the time.
Oh, well, that's fine.
But
No, it's true. You were.
It's true. It's definitely true. I just don't know how interesting it is. But at the time, it kind of felt like, oh, this is just the Doctor's life. He just gets crazy things just keep happening to him, and it's just never ending, and just go, and I don't know. So at the time, it was kind of, it seemed like I don't know, like some sort of non sequitur, but it was also just exciting. I don't know. Now that I know how that turns out, and you know, I don't know. I mean, it was a nice way to sort of, I don't know if they really thought they needed Martha for the next story too.
No, they really needed her. I mean, they had this story, and they were like, "Isn't it weird that we had these 2 consecutive stories, a 2-parter and then a 1-parter, and both of them were just had a Martha-shaped hole in them, just completely independently. The writers weren't even consulting one another."
Right, yeah. I think that's got to be true. Yeah, I don't know. This is... yeah.
One of them, it's like, I don't even remember who wrote the Doctor's Daughter. It was, hold on. Yeah, so The Doctor's Daughter was written by Stephen Greenhorn. And so Stephen Greenhorn is like, I've got this story that really needs Martha, and I can't think of a way to write her into the story. And then Helen Rayner is like, well, that's kind of a coincidence, because I've got this story that really needs Martha, and I can't think of a way to write her out of the story. And so they're like, wait a second, I think we can work together here. And it was really just this beautiful symphony of something. I don't know. Anyhow.
This beautiful symphony of Martha.
Yeah, exactly. What a coincidence.
It's got to be it. There's just got to be it, you know, and it's all making sense now. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, so in a sense that they got Martha, you know, to be in the next episode. This cliffhanger was really good at that, but other than that, not so much. I would say that this time it was kind of silly watching it.
Now, you know, when I asked what you thought of the cliffhanger, that wasn't the one I was talking about, but I decided to roll with it.
Oh, you were talking about the
cliffhanger at the end of the Sontaran stratagem.
I don't know.
You don't? Okay.
I mean, I thought I would say that I liked the resolution of it. I thought that was kind of funny, where Donna's mom comes out and just smashes the windshield.
Yeah, I think the idea of the cliffhanger, where the cliffhanger is he's locked in a car. I don't know. I mean,
well, no. Well, yeah, I suppose. But at the same time, I don't know. I really fear for Wilf's life. I mean, you know, he's getting up in his years. You know, maybe some clone feed could kill him. You don't know.
Okay, but he's locked in a car. That's the cliffhanger.
Yeah, no, I think it's yeah. To be fair, it's not just that. It's also that all the Atmos were activated, and that's probably the bigger problem. Not so much.
I will grant that. Yes.
Although the cliffhanger resolution doesn't even solve that part of it.
No, that continues to be an issue.
So yeah, I don't know what to think about that. It's certainly no go to your room. It's certainly nothing like that.
No, it's I mean, there are cliffhangers with less tension in them, but
yeah.
But I don't know. I think it's probably not the tensest and most exciting cliffhanger.
No, I'd agree with that.
I miss cliffhangers.
Me too.
Multi-part stories. That's one of the things I miss most about the lack of multi-part stories.
Yeah, that is rather unfortunate. So yeah, I'm hoping in Series 8 they'll bring back 2-parters. That'd be nice of them. We don't know one way or the other, do we?
We don't know anything about anything. we don't officially know when the season is going to be or how many episodes it will have. But the rumor is that it's going to be in August and that it's going to be 12 episodes.
Yeah, that seems pretty reasonable. Yeah, I would really like to see two-parters again.
Me too.
So here's to hoping.
Here indeed is to hoping. What did you think about the lighting?
Yeah.
A lot of it is purple.
A lot of it is purple. I did notice that.
I think that was kind of a thing back in the Russell T Davies era. That
Purple?
different episodes would have different like color themes.
Yeah.
And I think it's still kind of true to some extent, but not to the same degree.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of... I don't know. I kind of like it. Yeah, I do have to say, when I first watched this episode, once again, I do remember thinking the episode was very purple. I don't know why, but yeah, that did stick out to me. And I don't know. Yeah, I can definitely say, like, you know, thinking of, like, I don't know, like 42, that was a very red episode.
Yeah.
I don't remember much of that episode, but I do remember it was red.
It's pretty red.
But yeah.
Lazarus Experiment was very blue.
Yeah, so there you go. I'm all for that, sure. Why not?
I think that to a certain extent it might have been to sort of disguise the sets and make them look more interesting than they actually were.
That could very well be.
Like, especially the basement set where Martha is being kept prisoner.
Oh, yeah.
Which I'm guessing that if they hadn't given it purple and green lighting, would just have been quite possibly either A, like, incredibly dull, or B, just obviously another set that we've seen before. Because there are some sets that we see reused over and over.
Yeah.
Like the function hall where the end of the world is done has been used in various other episodes.
Oh, really?
It's in the ones I can name off the top of my head are the one I can't name off the top of my head. The one with the Silurians in Series 5.
Okay, yeah. The I do. Yeah, that one.
Whose name I can't remember.
Hungry Earth.
Yeah. Cold Blood.
Cold Blood. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a meeting hall that they go into, and it's the same one. And then the place where Let's Kill Hitler also uses that location as well.
Oh yeah, that does look. Or I can picture that. Yeah. Huh. There you go.
But yeah, so I assume that this might just be done to sort of disguise something that they would rather us not see it without weird lighting to make it to make it look a particular way, to make it look more forgiving. Spend less on money. Spend more on light gels.
There you go. Yeah.
Spend less on sets. I mean, I just said spend less on money. That's not the thing.
Well, you know, if you have to like do like a currency conversion, I don't know why they'd need to convert currency, but if they did, then they technically would be buying money, probably, right?
Yeah. I can talk. Spend less on sets, spend more on lighting.
There you go. But yeah. I don't know. I thought the lighting was fine. I don't know.
It was okay, just kind of garish and notable and whatever.
I don't know. That range when it comes to like compression on DVDs isn't fantastic. You know, the sort of purplish reds and things, not great. So, you know, I don't know. I don't like that.
Yeah. I don't think this episode actually looked all that great on DVD.
Yeah.
You know, I've been finding that I don't know if I'm just imagining it, but I feel like some of the episodes as I'm seeing them on Netflix look better than they do on DVD.
Really?
So Netflix may be working from a different source. I don't know.
Huh. Interesting. That could be. Well, right, because the DVDs had to be converted from PAL to NTSC or whatever. So
yeah.
Maybe that did something to them.
Yeah, I know very little about what the consequences of that would be, other than the lines.
Yes, those lines.
There are lines.
Yes, lots of lines
that can't be crossed. Alright, so I'm now going to pick the next story that we will watch at random to follow the Sontaran stratagem and the poison sky. And firing up the random selector, twiddling all the knobs and levers. And it's going to be Planet of Fire.
Ooh.
Planet of Fire.
Ah, well. That sounds exciting.
It's an interesting one. It addresses something that we've discussed on this podcast.
Okay.
I won't say what.
Oh, man. Now I gotta wait to find out.
It has something to do with something we have already spent some time discussing on this podcast.
Okay. Wait, which Doctor is it?
It's the Fifth Doctor.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait, no, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Well, that's fine. You don't need to be sure.
That's good because I so rarely am.
Okay.
But yeah.
All right, so Planet of Fire.
That Planet of Fire.